we meet two people. Who are the two children that we meet?
Ben and Grace.
Okay. Who do you think is more adventurous, has a big imagination, likes to try new things?
Ben.
Ben. Why do you think that?
Because he thought that he invented oatmeal, and he thought he was a genius, and he.
What about on the last page you read? Look over here on page 7. Tell me if there's any piece of information you may find to prove that this young man is pretty cool. He likes adventures.
He said that they could pretend that they were kids living during the Middle Ages.
Okay, so he likes to pretend, right? Now, what about Miss Thing over here? What about Grace?
She said, wouldn't it be fun to? She said that she wished that they could have invented a time machine to see how people lived back then instead of being creative.
Now, let's see if she really said that. Wouldn't it be fun to have lived back then? Grace asked, okay? I wish we could invent a time machine and see how people live. So was it really her?
No.
I'm not trying to trick you. Let's see. Wouldn't it be fun to have lived back then? Grace asked. I wish we could have invented a time machine.
Yes.
She was, right? She said it. Now, what does this young man say?
He said, who needs a time machine that they could use their imagination and they could pretend to be like kids that was living during the Middle Ages.
Why bother with a time machine? Just use your imagination. We could go anywhere. Let's go. Grace closed.
Grace closed her eyes. Ben closed his eyes too. Picture us inside a castle. He said, we're not in the garage anymore. We're not even in the United States. When you open your eyes, you will be in England during the Middle Ages.
Good. Where's England?
In
what continent?
Europe.
Good. Slowly?
Slowly they each open their eyes.
So they travel all the way from the United States to England, from North America to Europe. Did they really go there?
No.
No. How did they travel? How did they get there?
They used their imagination.
Good. That was their way of transportation. Grace couldn't.
Grace couldn't believe her eyes. She looked at the red velvet curtains and and huge stone walls.
What am I going to love about that sentence?
Red velvet.
What about it? What am I going to like about that sentence? She looked at the red velvet curtains and the huge stone walls. What do I like about that sentence?
She gave details.
Very nice. It gives me details. What color were the curtains?
Red velvet.
How were the stone walls?
Huge.
Good. I like those type of sentences. She was
in a real castle.
Good.
Ben, it worked, she cried. Ben poked his eyes around.
Ben poked
his head around the heavy curtain. I told you we could imagine this. Do you think there's a princess here with long golden braids? Asked Grace. That's a fairy tale.
Nice job.
Said Ben. I want to find the dungeon.
Nice.
Where they keep the criminals. Let's go.
Good. Where is she?
They're in a castle.
In a castle.
In England.
In England. How did they get there? In a plane, in a boat, rollerblades?
In their imagination.
Their imagination.